But anyway, tell me a little bit about yourself if you don't mind.
Yep, my name is Semqessa Gaza. Born in
Now,
Brooklyn.
one more time.
Semqessa Gaza,
Where you? Okay, okay. Where are you from?
Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, cool, cool. Okay.
I'm 20 now. Sorry, I'm 20 now. I got about five siblings, I think. Yeah, I got about five siblings, and basically, I give mindset tips, mindset advice, and post mindset content overall on social media. And my goal is really to change the way people think about their life, change the way people see their goals, and actually break out of the herd mentality that we have in society right now, and just
Hmm.
follow their dreams, pursue their passions.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. Being that you're so young, like, how did, okay, you're 20 years old, and how you're thinking already is already ahead of the game to say that you're 20 years old, because most 20-year-old perceptions is totally different from yours. Theirs is caught up more like in the matrix versus being more conscious. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
What brought you to this level, to this point at such an age?
Well, I think it was a couple of things. I definitely had an advantage in the sense that my family and my parents. Well, I had both of my parents in my life, and my parents made sure that I was around the right type of community growing up. So I did like programs when I was a kid, like New African Scouts, which is like, basically building character, learning more about Africanness, culture, different things like that. So my mind was already a little different growing up, not being so focused on material, and getting caught up in, I guess, what the average person my age would be getting caught up in. That combined with just the experiences I've had myself, particularly in school, I would say, because even though I had this upbringing in the home at school, I found myself veering a lot away from who I knew I was, especially as I got into high school. And as I look back, specifically in 11th grade, I didn't really like the person I was being. So I started to do some introspection and really look at that differently.
Like what were you doing that you found yourself doing that?
Pretty much everything the knucklehead kid in high school would do. Not being respectful to teachers sometimes, poking fun at other kids in my class, and just not taking myself serious, not respecting people, even my parents at times. So that really caused me, and I also had the opportunity to do the Landmark Forum, which is a personal development program in New York. So that also gave me a lot of insight into, kind of like my programming and the things that I've just been doing without thinking about it. So that triggered me to just think about my actions and think about who I wanted to be. And I decided to just make a change. And from that point on, I've been on a journey of just constantly bettering myself.
So with all of that being said, what was it? Even though it was a combination, but we all have our moments where we're like hard headed. We're like, okay, you know what? Yeah, this happened, but I'm still gonna do what I want to do. What was that one moment that just made you say, enough? Let me just change my mindset. Out of
Um,
all of that, what was the one thing that just made you say, let
I
me
would
just.
I would say all of that you could probably sum that up into the character aspect, but the one thing that kind of pushed, sped up the cycle would I would say was me dropping out of college, because that kind of made me think like, okay. And I've already, before that, just for some background information, I got skipped in the second grade, so I was always ahead of my class in terms of my age. So I
Right.
took a gap year straight out of high school, just to kind of like find myself a little bit more after all of this. Realizing I wasn't as mature as I would like to be. So I took a gap year out of high school just to kind of find myself. And then after I went into college, I basically didn't feel like I was getting, you know, the proper value from the school. So I
Mm.
decided to drop out, and that kind of fueled me like, okay, I'm making another big decision in my life, a decision that my parents probably don't want me to make. So how am I going to make this work? How am I going to take some actionable steps to improve my life? So right after that, um, that was in May. In June, I went to a conference, the Formula Conference, like a business conference in Atlanta, and
Hmm.
that that pushed me even further into the world of connecting with people and connecting with my purpose and what I wanted to do, and
Right.
entrepreneurship as a whole.
Right. Okay. 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 Great. Great. So, what else have you been doing as far as with entrepreneurship in your with your speaking, with you being a life coach?
Well, so I've written. That's right after the conference is when I wrote my book, my first book, Ready Set Mindset. And so I released that. And since then, I've really been, because I am new to the space, I've really been growing my following. I've done some coaching, like just with people I know in my personal life, but
Right.
really been growing my following to get my name out there, because I feel like the ideas and the messages and the strategies I have to share are very important. But it's just about getting that exposure for me right now.
Right, 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 right. Well, I mean, from what I've been seeing, and like I've went through a couple of your videos, like when I saw them personally, like your mindset, like I told you, I think I told you this before, your mindset is so far ahead of time. It's so mature. Your mindset is so much more mature than people that is my age. Okay. That is weird, right?
And I
We
think
talking about
that's also been an inspiration of mine too. Just seeing so many people as they get older and they say, "Ah, I wish I didn't do this, I wish I didn't do that, or I wish I was focusing." And I'm like, I hear you loud and clear, and I'm not I'm
you
not
don't
willing
want
to
to
make
do
the
that.
same mistake and sacrifice all my years to
Right.
say the same thing. You know, I wanted to do something different.
Right, 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 right. And one thing about it, by you, you're a wise person. What's the saying? You can tell somebody something, right? And a wise person will listen. The fool would be the one that would have to learn the hard way and go through it. You
Hmm.
see what I'm saying? You're learning just by watching.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Hell yeah, you're like ahead of years of your time. Your parents did a phenomenal job with you as well. Um, what I was about to say was, so with your journey, like I see that you have multiple videos and like all of them are fabulous. All of them are executed very well, right? I appreciate it. I can't wait till you drop some more videos as well. If you don't mind, I would really like to upload at least one of them on my platform so I can let my listeners, get some of your work. I'm also post your link on my page as well. Um, what I was about to say was, what is it that really keeps you going?
Well, that's been the part that I needed to work on the most myself. Just the motivation, and not so much in the macro sense, because of course I know what I'm going after. It's the day to day doing things, when they're tough, doing things when you have no energy to do them. And
Right,
for me, what's kept me going is just like the fact that I've made a commitment to myself. And it's like I see the two different paths I can take. I can let my life play out and not take action and keep stalling, and it'll be perfectly fine. Nobody will bother me. Everybody just let me, you know let my life go to waste, essentially. But
right.
it's really on you to say. And I think a lot of times we look for that motivation from external factors, but
When
it's
it
really
should be within ourselves.
on you to say that, I'm just going to take a stand right here, right now. And the tough part about that is it sounds so simple, but when it really gets down to it, it's a hard process.
Do you think that it's because naturally there's a side of us that just want to be lazy? Or do you think that it's just a natural side of us that's just that we could just doubt ourselves because there's a side of us that just doubt ourselves?
I think there can definitely be an element of fear and things like that, but I would say most of the time, especially when you mention lazy, I feel like we're just not being intentional enough about, what we're going after and how we're thinking about what we're going after. So, like, I mean, just the same way everybody can find something in their life that they're extremely motivated to do. Like, even at the end of the day, like, they would love to go do this. For some people it's partying, for some people it's playing games, some people it's playing sports. So it's about connecting that energy and that desire to what what you actually want to do, connecting it to your goals. So, that may look like different things. For me, connecting that energy and that passion, I love games, I love experiences. So, part of my motivation is, get into that place where I have more freedom and where I can travel more and where I can set up these experiences for. So, it's not just like, sure, I could have an experience of having fun and being on the game 24/7, but I'm willing to sacrifice that now for a greater experience, sort of the same.
Right, right, right. That makes sense. So, okay, what is your how do you overcome your fear?
Mm. I think that it's really just come down to a point of not being consumed by it. And it's something that I've done a lot before in my past, but over and over, I've just been training myself, especially in this past year, to focus on what I want and focus on,
Yeah.
because most of my fears have been, I've never really, been in the world or have thought that what I'm doing isn't going to work out at some point. Maybe it's not going to look exactly how I planned, but I genuinely believe and have the feeling that what I'm doing, the vision I have for myself, it will work out. But I guess my
Right.
fears would be more so, you know, the way I'm doing it. Like, what is people going to think about that? What is people going to think about this? And having to
Don't
balance.
do that to yourself. Don't. Sorry, not to cut you off, but do not do that to
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, I haven't been lately. And that's why I've been able to do more of the videos, and even sometimes where I may not, be in love with my appearance, but I also know that the message I have is more important than me liking what I see in the camera all the time. And really wanting to make that impact for somebody else. It's a sacrifice on my part, but I know the reason that I'm doing it. So sometimes the fear aspect, it's like, it's not that it's absent, it's that the reason I have to keep going, the reason I have to
Mm.
do what I'm doing is stronger than that fear.
Right, 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 right. That's great. It's like an internal force that's
Yeah,
like pushing you, right? It's
yeah.
pushing you to your destiny. But the
Hmm.
good thing about it is like you got the actual common sense to be like, you know what? Let me go ahead and be who I'm becoming, who I'm supposed to be, versus versus a lot of people. We can fight it, and instead of realizing that a lot of times change is good and it's good for us. And I speak of this because I know I have fought change so much in my life when I should. It's like the more we resist change, the more that we have the fear of changing, the more things will stay the same, as we all know, right?
Hmm.
But it's like at some point, how could you want your life to get better if you're not willing to let it change and just happen,
Yeah.
naturally how it's supposed to happen? And with that change, things are gonna fall off, things are gonna be added to it. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm. Absolutely.
Right, right, right. And a lot of us, we just don't, I guess we just don't really understand that concept. And earlier when we were talking about fear, and everything that you're saying, that's pretty much what you were talking about. Sometimes you're not in love with your appearance,
Hmm.
and you still doing your videos and all that. I mean, that's everybody. That's
Yeah.
everybody. The easiest thing to do is to pick us apart. Does that make sense? Oh, well, I don't feel like I look like this today, or I don't feel like really talking today. You see what I'm saying? Or I don't feel like I'm at my best. I don't feel like today that I'm at my best, and my energy is not where I want it to be before I can actually speak,
Hmm.
right? These are real life situations, but the best part about it is just being able to push through it. One of the biggest things for me, and obviously I'm older than what you are, one of the biggest things for me, um, get out of your head. Like seriously, get out of your head. Like I have had. I'm sorry. Can you hear my background noise?
No.
Okay, good. Okay, so listen. So like for me personally, one of my biggest things is when I first started my podcast, right? Even when I had started my book, it was so many, it was people that was for me, but then you knew that they were not for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it was conversations like, well, how can you do this? How can you make that happen? Basically what I ended up doing was just trusting the unknown. I didn't worry about what the next person had to say. I didn't worry about me letting somebody else's fears interrupt my energy. Does that make sense?
Hmm.
Like the transfer of energy. Like if I'm scared, and okay, and me and you are somewhere, and we're both neutral, right? If you or I get scared, right, and we're standing next to each other, if we're connected spiritually, right, if we're connected, you're gonna feel my fear, right?
Yeah.
Which in turn may make you scared, right?
Hmm.
As well. So then we both stuck panicking, we both scared. What we gonna do, right? Do you get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
with with situations like that, when I had people coming at me telling me, okay, well, how are you gonna do this? And there's no way you can get that done. I never internalized it. Basically, is what I'm saying. I never internalized it. So regardless of, even when we don't feel our best, even whenever you feel like you may have some self-doubt, trust yourself and trust the process and keep going. I'm not an expert at this, but I know in life you cannot let nobody else's madness interrupt your life. You just got to, it's your life for a reason. You got to live your life for you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, like you're light years ahead of so many people. Like you're doing, like what you're doing is phenomenal. Like you're in your 20s. By the time you get my age, do you know how far you? It's like you'll be. How could I explain it? You'll be so far. You'll be so far ahead of the game. Like you have your company would have grown so much.
Yeah.
So it's like it's like it pays off, because it's like those days when you don't feel like your best. It's like it's like you'll be patting yourself on the back, like I'm glad I kept going.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I respect it. I respect it. Did I kind of did I kind of round that up for you just now?
Yeah. Yeah. I got what you were saying.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we all have our days, but either way, what I was about to say. So, what you gonna be doing next?
Well, I'm continuing to, like I said, of course, grow my social media presence, and I'll be releasing more courses and things like that, programs. I want to do more speaking gigs and just, doing more things like this, just sharing my message in any way I can. So that may look like more books, that may look like more things digitally in person. But that's what my focus is on right now.
So, the people that's new to you and the people that's new to podcasting, what advice would you give?
For the people that
And
is
that want to get into it?
for the people that want to get into podcasting.
Yes.
Well, yeah, I would say the biggest thing that that stops people from doing podcasting is, of course, the appearance and people, not being in love with even the sound of their voice. But I think what's important to remember is that there's always going to be an audience for you, and there's always people that need to hear what you have to say, how you have to say it from you. You may connect with them in some way. You may be in the same demographic, or your energy may just sync up with them. So before, like you mentioned, before you get wrapped up in the appearance and all of that, just remember that what you have to say is powerful, and it's going to powerfully affect somebody that isn't going to care about your appearance or the tone of your voice. So I would say just start. Just start. Yeah.
Right. And just keep trusting the process. You are phenomenal. You are phenomenal. You are phenomenal. Well, I mean, personally, I think you look very nice looking myself. You're a very smart man. You're intelligently spoken. I mean, hey, I would love to do another interview with you as well.
Definitely.
I would love to. Well, I greatly appreciate your time. I thank you so much. This is K Knowledge of Preservation of One and
Semqessa You can follow me on social media at Semqessa, Semqessa.
great. Okay, thank you so much.
No
I look
problem.
forward to seeing you again. As soon as I get my phone charged up, then I'll give you a call, okay?
All right. No problem. Take care.
Okay. All right. Bye.